Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction or read-through for Tower of God Chapter 615 or Season 3, Episode 198, creeping ever closer to Episode 200. Season 3, we've been in it for a while. It's crazy, especially thinking back to me doing these same videos back in Season 2. It's nuts to think about. Either way, I don't think there's a crazy long Haku intro this time around because I've done a lot of Tower of God stuff this week. Just yesterday, I posted a big 30 to 40 minute discussion video that was just my rambling thoughts after last week's chapter. So many things that last week's chapter had me thinking about that I was like, if I do a long Haku intro, I could talk for 30 minutes about stuff that I'm thinking about after last week. So there is that. Go check that out. Also this week, Animosity did a prompt video and I did a response video to that, so go check both of those out too. But yeah, I guess that's about it. I wanted to shout that stuff out, and there's more Tower of God stuff other than just this to come, because we got a new trailer for the anime and stuff yesterday, and I was planning to do a reaction to it, and I will still do a reaction to it, just like tomorrow. So I wanted to do it yesterday, then I wanted to do it today. I just haven't had time to get around with it. So I'll do a reaction video to the new anime stuff and talk about the new anime stuff tomorrow. And yeah, I guess that's about it. The reason I'm kind of a little bit worried that I'm just going to watch it and be like, okay, yeah, that was whatever. I mean, like, and then I'm just gonna be like, okay, that was whatever. Good video. I worry a little bit about that, but the reason I'm gonna do it is because every time a new trailer or something comes out, I always just watch it on my own. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll check it out. And then I always get comments that are like, oh, you should react to this. And I have to be like, sorry, I can't. I already watched it on my own. So this time I avoided it. I didn't watch it on my own, and I'll do it as a video tomorrow. Just because I know I always get comments from people who do want to see me talk about it. So yeah, I will be doing that. And I guess that's it. So no more long Haku intro or anything. I guess the only things worth mentioning, like, that are like really closely related to what we're getting into, I'll talk about. Like, if we get into more red light district stuff, I can talk about that more. If we get into more revolution stuff, I can talk about that. But one thing that I wanted to bring up here in like the main video that I was again thinking about is Tiara last time being like, okay, Tiara is one of the writing people children, and the writing people children are basically anyone since Eurasia N. But that kind of still leaves us with the question, so is N the only real child, or does Gastang still have, like, well, not that they're not real children, does Gastang still have physical children from before N? I mean, we know that Lobadan's one of Traumare's oldest kids, and he looks like an old man now. Or some of the... Is it possible that some of the 10 family heads have kids that have died of old age at this point? Is that even possible? But of course, like, I'm like, Gaston can't make the whole Pobedao family just from his writing, because there's a whole bunch of nobodies. There's a whole bunch of nobodies that it's like, that's not a part of Gaston. He didn't give some random guy on the battleship his mediocrity to make him into a person. So it's like, can the writing children go off and have children and grandchildren of their own, and that's how the family is filled out? Or are the family, like the rank and file, the descendants of children that he had before Eurasia N? Because the Eurasia N incident, from what we know, was around 5,000 years ago, and N was 400 some years old when it happened. So like 5,500 years ago at most, Eurasia N was born, and we know that long before that, during the age of Genesis, Liboric was already an adult. We don't know if Liboric is actually Gastang's direct child or a grandchild or what have you, if Gastang had a kid with a member of the Kun family, one of Edouard's daughters. But either way, Liboric is a Pobedao who predates N. So it's like, is he like an actual birth son of Gastang potentially? And it would make sense. He's really close with Adori. He's at one of the highest positions in Zahard's army. So it would make sense that somebody like that could be a direct child. Or another case is that when we saw Reflejo's flashback, Reflejo's tribe was killed and his eyes were taken because he looked at a princess candidate, Yulia, from the Pobedao family. We know now, because of the symbols, that she was from the Pobedao family. And we know from what Tiara said, or what was said about Tiara, that there haven't been any princess candidates other than Tiara since N, and Tiara turned it down. So that means that since Yulia was a princess candidate from the Povedal family, Yulia was pre-N as well. So there are just Povedals that we know of that are older than N. So it's like, if they're older than her, are they physical birth children of Gaston? So I did want to bring that up because that's something I feel like is a little bit important to Tiara and Dumas and some of the characters we're talking about. But yeah, with that aside, let's actually read the chapter this time around. So we pick up where we left off with Tiara being trapped and then bitten down on by this the gecko. It chomps. Geez, she sure is tough. It could take some time to chew through her. And then Tiara's battle, too. So we're sticking with this title. It's surprised. Is she riding on the inside of my mouth? My eyes are ruby red. My sharp teeth tear through enemy flesh. Within my belly, red-hot molten lava boils. I become a dragon. The end. Okay, so we see the top half of her body is transforming now. So she does have the pen back then, because she's using this ability. And then, how the turntables. Dragon Tiara bites down on the multiple-eyed lizard at this point. I wonder, again, if these lizards were something that Gororo just had, that he wasn't using particularly, or if Enkidu has buffed and warped Gororo's abilities while taking him as host. And if so, can Enkidu take other hosts and use, like, warp their abilities in different ways? And it bites through, or she bites through. I guess it is still Tiara. And then we have Tiara yelling, okay, you know, I think this was what the thumbnail was. I only saw the thumbnail for a split second. I was like, is that Rack? Is Rack back up? But no, this is, we have Tiara as a dragon. And then, your flesh is so soft. And again, he's General Jelly Jiggler. You're quite the monster too. Again, I think it is so interesting that Gororo looks so much like Traumare, and then to have like Gororo be the one that Enkidu takes over the body of, so now Enkidu is in this form that looks so much like Traumare. You're quite the monster too. Monster, that's no way to speak of a lady. I'll tell you what I am. I am the family leader's beautiful creative writing. So now we know, or at least we can assume from this, maybe this is just like a flourish of words, but you could also say that potentially she is Gaston's creativity, so to speak. And then, like, of course we were trying to figure out what everyone was. People are saying, is she the psychopathy? Because he always says, I'm a four-eyed psychopath, and that's always how she's described. And we have seen a lot of Tiara committing animal cruelty since she's been introduced. And then she uses the flames to blow all through the area. And actually firing to the outside of the sprout, tearing a hole in it. So the people outside the sprout should be able to see some of this. And she transforms back into her human form. I have this rumbling. I incinerated him with flames almost as powerful as the family heads. He'll never rise up from the ashes again. Now, shall we continue our little chat? And Bellarier's trying to stand. Vice Commander Bellarier. But then, the jelly is reforming. Who says I'll never come back again? And he kept the pants. It's like, I can regenerate the pants. How the hell? Long ago, at the request of Traumare, I received 2 incredible blessings from the Administrator. One of the blessings is that aside from the great trailblazers of the tower like Traumare, no regular can kill me. So, Enkidu basically has an immortality contract. So here's the thing. We saw before where there was a rule that if anyone attacks Kaiser without Kaiser challenging them ahead of time, or without collecting the names of the 10 bosses, then they'll die. They'll just die. That's like a rule of the tower set down by the administrators. And so when we talk about the immortality contracts, it's like, so what happens? It's like, can you just tear them apart into a million pieces, but they'll eventually regenerate? Is that how immortality works? And that's kind of what I've said. Like, if somebody doesn't have rule-breaking powers, if someone's not an irregular who doesn't abide by the rules to begin with, then if they tried to kill, like if, I don't know, let me think of somebody who doesn't have rule-breaking powers, that we can confirm doesn't have rule-breaking, I guess Jinsung. Let's say if Jinsung, through some method, was able to kill Traumare. I know it's not going to happen, but like, let's say he tried to kill him. Because of the immortality contract, does that mean Traumare just regenerates? Does he just survive because the rules say you're not allowed to kill him? And this is it. Aside from the Trailblazers, and again, does that just mean the 13 Great Warriors? Or are there more people who count toward that? But aside from them, no regular can kill me, which means if you kill Enkidu, he just reforms himself. And it's also interesting that his form is changing here. His hair's getting longer, he's growing this horn. So it doesn't matter if you're almost as powerful as a family head. Unless you have the family head's actual power, you can't kill me. He charges in and starts levying a volley of strikes toward Tiara. She takes his arm and his head and is just chopping him up once again. And Belarir's back up behind her. Oh, when he's landing on Belarir, is he going to start spreading? Is he going to take over Belarir, or can he spread to multiple bodies? I told you, you can't kill me. So yeah, he's either jumping to his body, or he's taking a second body. He entered Belarir's body? And then Belarir goes in for an attack. So I guess, does this mean both I think Gorodo and Belarir can get their personalities back? Because to me, it would feel weird in the story, especially after Gorodo's little speech to himself. But I was like, maybe. So after Gorodo's little speech, I was like, he can't be gone for good, right? But then I was like, maybe Gorodo wasn't that important. But then it feels really weird to have Belarir go out. Like, if he was going to go out with Tiara killing him, that would be crazy. But him going out just like, okay, and now he gets taken over, I feel like Belarir and Gorodo can get their personalities back. But this is nuts. So, she's kicking at him. As long as the right conditions are met, I can possess any living man in this tower and take over their body. Although this isn't one of the blessings I received from the administrator. Okay, so we don't know what the other blessing is. So him possessing people isn't one, but the immortality, I'm just going to call it immortality contract, is one. She's dodging his attacks. By doing this, okay, he is still using Gorodo's abilities and face. I can use the abilities of the previous bodies that I've taken over as well. And he uses the lizards again. My pen. So this is actually bad news if he takes over Tiara as well and has 3 bodies at his disposal. But I also think that it's really, really interesting that Belarir and Gorodo were kind of characters that you could easily compare to each other, each being the vice commander of the battleship and having a similar sort of standing when it comes to revolution and stuff. My pen. It's all sticky. kind of an awkward sentence. You little prick. I've had enough of this. You're really starting to piss me off. And then we have Gorodo being blown away. Now, it's time to show you the second blessing I received, aside from the tower's great trailblazers. And again, I wonder if it's just the 13 warriors or maybe anyone who climbed, so people like Quadrado and Luzlek or Merchia would be included. I can bring death upon anyone I like. That's cheating. You can just decide, oh, I want you dead, and the person just dies. Provided it's justified, of course. Okay, and what does justified mean? That is, again, an interesting contract. And we're seeing how, no matter how strong you are, contracts with the administrator and rules are important for people, I guess, other than rule breakers and irregulars who aren't beholden to the rules to begin with. And she reacts to it. What in the world? It's Belarir's arm. It's over now, you disgusting creature of Gastong's. He reaches in. You picked the wrong person to mess with. And her head is gone. What? She drops the pen. And is she actually taken out? I mean, she didn't write anything beforehand, but then again, since she is a writing person, it makes you wonder, also her legs are they look kind of off in this panel. Like her right leg is like not attaching to her waist, kind of, right? But yeah, it makes you wonder, can Gastong just reabsorb the idea of Tiara? And if he can do that, can he put her out again? Again, you open so many questions with making these writing people a part of the story. And Enkidu brings Belarir's arms back. Is he not even a high ranker? His body is pathetically weak. Hey, are you controlling my body? That's nuts. Hold on. Is Belarir's will strong enough, though, that he can resist Enkidu? Huh? He's still conscious. This is amazing. I've heard about you, but never expected something like this might happen to me. Likewise, I never thought I'd hear someone talking inside my head. It's not a very pleasant sensation. Oh well, it's probably better this way. You almost sound like you're glad I stole your body. What the heck is wrong with you? I was hoping to join forces with you, Enkidu. I was actually the one who sent those people to wake you up. What? That was you. Yeah, I want to work with you. There's a group of like-minded people gathered outside. We want to annihilate Zahard and the 10 great family heads. Okay, and we're cutting away, maybe? Or is this still going to be him? Oh no, this is Dumas and Gastong? Hold on, this is crazy, because Gastong might get his memories back. Lord Gastong, I brought you the irregular like you asked me to. We haven't seen Gastong in a good little bit. And he hits Dumas. I told you to bring him to me. Did I order you to kill the irregular and his companions? I'm sorry, sir. I made a grave mistake. This isn't good. Take him out. And then... is he going to restore him? He is. Sort of like when he just looked at Rachel and was like, okay, she's healed now. Let me read it. Show me the memories in that book I wrote, and the people I lost. Let me see the truth of what happened that day. And the pages start flowing out the same way they flowed in to Bomb. Okay, are we gonna... Man, we get cliffhanger there. I hope we don't cut away to other stuff, because I really want to get these flashbacks. But... you can never trust it. Either way, crazy chapter. Tiara might be dead. Again, the concept of living or dead, when we start applying it to the writing people, is questionable. It's like, she is just an idea, but she was also an idea made flesh. I mean, the writing people can bleed. They can die, essentially. I think one of the craziest stuff is how much more serious Enkidu seems now than he seemed before. Now he's not only taken over Gororo, and who knows if he can still use his powers and ability even after the main body itself was destroyed, but he's also taken Belarir. Belarir has his consciousness left. His will is strong enough to be able to resist Enkidu's control to some extent, to stay alive within him, which is crazy for Belarir. And that does mean we still have more stuff to go with them. And just the idea that, like I mentioned before, we talk so much about, oh, this character fights this character, or that character fights that character. But again, reiterating how important just the rules and the administrator contracts are, because the immortality contract's just so important. Like, it just makes you wonder, do they need Bomb to destroy the immortality contract, or else not even rule breakers can kill them? Because I was kind of under the impression that because they didn't have an irregular, that FUG was still stocking up people with powers that can break the rules. And why would you do that if you didn't think that they could potentially kill a family head, the Slayers and everything? So it's just kind of like, can they? It's something that's always been a question, but I'm thinking about it more. Or is it generally like anybody who can break a rule can also kill Enkidu, maybe? Because Enkidu essentially has an immortality contract. And I brought up how Revolution and like the replacement family heads, for lack of a better term to call them right now, might be in the story as like a miniature Zahard in the 10 family heads that we sort of interact with and deal with before getting to the real Zahard and 10 family heads. And it makes me wonder if, like, using these smaller examples of a larger thing before getting into the larger thing is something else that's being done with Enkidu's contract with the administrators now. Because it's like, okay, so are we dealing with Enkidu's immortality as a way to, foreshadow things and talk about the concept of these contracts ahead of time before we get into the real immortality contract stuff with the 10 family heads? Also, they use the terms Trailblazers of the Tower twice. Again, is that just the 13 Great Warriors, or do more people count? Does Quadrado or Mircea, people like that, do they count? And then also, killing anyone you want is a crazy one, but as long as it's justified, makes me wonder, what does the contract consider justified? And I wonder too, this could be a translation thing. The other translation could have said, as long as it's in self-defense or something like that. For all that I know, and that could make sense. Maybe they have to attack Enkidu first, and then he can just say, hey, I want this person to die, and they die. But again, that is crazy. Again, anyone, except for the family heads and potentially a couple more, but family heads that we know of, he can just say, I want this person to die, and they can die, potentially, which is absolutely insane. And then on top of all of the Enkidu stuff, which is like the craziest, probably most important stuff this week, we get Bomb being given to Gaston by Dumas, and Gaston potentially now getting his memories back. So we could cut away and see other things, which I guess I wouldn't be too upset about. Like, I don't really care about the main trio stuff right now. Again, just let them sit out for a little bit while we deal with other stuff, because there's a lot of other parts moving in this arc that I think are more important and more interesting. I want to see all the stuff that's going on with these characters outside. Slay the Chess Pieces is still ongoing and questionably important. How important is it anymore? It might be very important. It might be not important at all. It feels like that's kind of like something that we get into with Tower of God, is we turn things into games, which is perfectly fair. But I think the issue that CU has with it is that sometimes CU will set up a game and then things will fall apart and the game doesn't matter anymore at a certain point. Like the Cat Tower stuff. The Cat Tower stuff mattered until it broke out into more fighting, and then it was like, okay, it doesn't really matter anymore. The waifu tournament game with Survive against the Serpent Master mattered, and that didn't really matter for very long at all before that didn't matter anymore. But that's the thing, setting things up as games and then not sticking with it. I don't know if we're going to stick with it and we're going to see an actual chess game at this point, or if things are just going to turn into an all-out battle, which I really don't mind seeing. But the issue with it turning into an all-out battle is that then Slay the Chess Pieces would have, like, this whole thing would have been kind of a little bit pointless. So we'll have to see what happens. We could cut away. There's a lot of stuff going on outside of the Sprout with Revolution, Yama, Lobadan versus Kiri, and all that stuff that I think is really important, and I really do want to see. More stuff with Enkidu could be important. But I think right now, the biggest thing to see is this flashback stuff, if we get into Gastang's memories. And I guess there is always the chance that Gastang just goes, I have my memories back, and we don't actually get to see it. That's actually totally, we might not get a flashback to begin with. That's totally a possibility. So I'm hoping not. I'm hoping we either get to see at least some of the memories, if not all. We either get to see that, or we get to cut away to some of the exciting stuff that's happening outside. There's a lot of potential options, though. This chapter felt a little on the shorter side, honestly, compared to a lot of the ones we've been getting. But I don't really mind. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and end the video so I can try to get try my best to get this posted as quickly as possible for you all. Like if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this chapter, my first thoughts and reaction. Again, subscribe for more Tower of God and much more on the channel. Like I said, I'll have a video on the anime stuff tomorrow, and there's been a really, like, that 30 to 40 minute discussion. I thought that it was a mess because I just kind of recorded it after working out, and I was kind of like just rambling, ranting about Tower of God, but it actually turned out pretty well. I actually really did like that. And there are a lot of things that I talked about in there that I think are kind of neat to talk about. So go check that out. Go check out the prompt videos and everybody else's channel and stuff like that. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, it's free and open for anyone. If you'd like to help support the channel to help me to keep making videos, you can drop a super thanks down below. Or if you also want a shout out at the end of every video, if you want One Piece videos a little bit early, then you can hit join down below to become a member, or go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. Thank you to people who are patrons and members. Thank you to Chosen Regular Evan Holly, Magical Girls, FR Nono, Abyss Knight, or JA, and JA, why did I say or, and JA, and also JA, if you're watching this, I just used your Patreon username. If you want me to put something else, just let me know and I totally can. Cheriton Students, David Langstaff and Folded Goal, Slayer Candidates, SG and Stance Eater, and Pure Element Pate Ardialo. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.